And members, we ready? All right. Half a day, 5 show. Good afternoon to members of our community in the gallery and also in the viewing public on all different social media platforms and also on cable. So if you feel, go ahead and wave at the camera. I now call this second day, first regular session to order. Please let us all rise for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 1 of our agenda, which is the roll call, and I'd like to recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Ada,
Yeah.
Representative Aldon, Representative Atal,
Present.
Representative Benavente, Representative Angelo Komatsu,
Present.
Representative Diego Komatsu,
Present.
Representative Joel Komatsu,
Yeah.
Representative Vicente Komatsu,
Present.
Representative Castro,
Present.
Representative Joseph Flores,
Present.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Present.
Representative Anglonia,
Present.
Representative Vogel,
Yeah.
Representative Omar,
Present.
Representative Probst,
Present.
Representative Sablan,
Isiga.
Representative Nicolas,
Present.
Mr. Speaker,
Present.
Representative Yang Tamay,
Yeah.
Representative Yumo,
Present.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members are present.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members present, this constitutes a quorum for today's session. And before we move down to item number 2, public comments, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the suspension of pertinent rules to amend today's agenda. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer a motion to suspend Rule 3, Section 6, so that the House amends its agenda to include unnumbered bills and resolutions and communications not filed with the clerk's office 72 hours in advance when a notice for session was given and posted. So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 3, Section 6, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? Ready? Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Ada?
Yes.
Representative Aldon?
Yes.
Representative Atal?
Yes.
Representative Benavente? Representative Angelo Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Good.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Castro?
Yes.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Anglonia?
Yes.
Representative Vogel? Representative Omar?
Yes.
Representative Probst? Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Good.
Representative Nicolas?
Yes.
Representative Yang Tamay?
Oh, what?
Representative Yumo?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker?
Hungan.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, the motion hereby carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 2, public comments. The floor is now open to receive comments. Please state your name and the entity you represent. In addition, if you would like, you can also submit your written comments to the clerk for our record. You'll be given 3 minutes and will be amenable to adding more time should no other person comment after you. So please, the podium's open.
My name is Manny Pangilinan. I represent the Division of Fish and Wildlife, and I'm the director for the Division of Fish and Wildlife. I'm here to comment on House Bill 25-3, entitled to amend 2 CMC subsections 5631, 5109, to authorize GUNET, locally known as decking, in the third senatorial district and to provide additional penalties for any violations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and member of this House, for the opportunity to comment on House Bill 23-5. After reviewing House Bill 23-5, the Division of Fish and Wildlife supports the intent of the legislation. However, the division requests to incorporate the following amendments, which I am not going through it, but I'm submitting my comments with the amendment. Okay. I also provided Representative Yang my comments, so I asked her to please incorporate that. We need those amendments to be incorporated so that the mechanism needed to implement this program is there for us to be able to carry out the goals and objectives and also to provide for sustainable fisheries resources within the lagoon. So, like I said, DFW is inclined to support House Bill 23-5. However, DFW would like to see the above recommendation is included in the House bill. Your consideration is greatly appreciated. Should you have any questions or want to discuss further, discuss our comments, please feel free to contact me at the telephone number provided. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of this House.
Thank you, Mr. Pangilinan. The floor is still open for public comments.
Good afternoon. Erlinda Napati. I'm the director at the Jolten Kids Public Library. Good afternoon, Speaker Edmund Villagomez, Vice Speaker Joel Camacho, and Floor Leader Edwin Probst, and honorable members of our Sinamay Legislature. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you here today. On behalf of the Jolten Kids Public Library, I humbly ask for your full support of House Bill 23-6 to amend 4 CMC subsection 8112 to prioritize net metering to include public libraries and for other purposes. Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan, for introducing this bill. And thank you to Representative BJ Atto, Representative Roman Benaventi, Representative Angelo Camacho, Representative Joel Camacho, Representative Manny Castro, and Representative Marisa Flores, Representative Edwin Probst, and Representative Ralph Yumo for co-sponsoring this bill. Why should you support House Bill 23-6? The Jolten Kids Public Library struggles to pay its utility bills each month. The Commonwealth government cannot afford to fully subsidize JKPL in order to satisfy our monthly utility bills. We humbly ask for your support to prioritize net metering to include our public libraries. The only way to reduce utility costs is to utilize renewable energy sources to offset the electricity or other utility required for the operation of JKPL. In FY 2022, the total annual visitors to JKPL was 68,000. In order to keep our JKPL effectively open to the public, we need 3 20-ton air conditioning in order to maintain all of our collections. We must ensure that our library maintains 72 degrees due to our collection of the following library materials: 120,000 books, archives, artifacts, computers, servers, as well as an assortment of year-round library programming and community outreach platforms that serve the educational, informational, recreational, and literary needs of our island community. Our HVAC system regulates the temperature and air quality of our entire 20,000 square feet JKPO facility. A survey performed by the Library of Congress estimated that as many as 25% of the books in its general collection receives good care and is well housed. The survey also stated that collections in tropical countries are often stored in higher temperature, under greater humidity, may well be in worse condition. In FY 2022 to FY 2023, direct appropriations from the Sinamay government for JKPO's utility was zero. The financial condition of the Jolten Kids Public Library has led the JKPO to accrue an accounts payable to CUC in approximately of $70,000 thus far. While the JKPO is revamping its energy policy to lessen the usage of power, the real problem is the rising cost of fuel in the Pacific Island region. The Jolten Kids Public Library Solar Power Project seeks to implement solar power and photovoltaic system for the Jotun Kids Public Library with net metering between JKPO facility and the electric power grid of the CUC, the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. JKPO proposes to implement a proven solar power system to reduce the dependence of imported fossil fuels, lessens greenhouse gases, promotes energy sustainability, and lessen the cost of power to JKPL. The JKPO expects an annual savings of at least 100% in utility costs with the solar panels in operation. Energy savings to the Sinai government will continue to grow despite the continued rise in global fuel costs. As of FY 2022, we result in an estimated net electric bill of zero anticipated dollars over time, and JKP will save millions of dollars in utility costs and utilize the money saved for other essential needs of the community and education entities. So last year alone, our utility bills was $104,000. So last year, we actively sought congressional earmark funding assistance from U.S. Congressman Gregorio Kilili Camacho Sablan. With his office, JKPO solar power system and furniture upgrades for the Antonio C. Atelic Memorial Library in Rhoda, Tinian Public Library, Jotun Kids Public Library, and Fernando M. Benavente Memorial Library in San Antonio. We were awarded, I am pleased to report that on December 30, 2022, the Jotun Kids Public Library received a congratulatory letter from U.S. Congressman Gregorio Kilili Camacho Sablan, informing us that our projects were included in the Consolidated Appropriation Act 2023 that was signed into law by President Biden on December 30, 2022. U.S. congressional funding worth $1.6 million was allotted for the following: $1.2 million for JKPO solar panel and $436,191 for the public libraries on Saipan Road and Tinian. Author Cindy Sheldon said, "Library stores the energy that fuels the imagination. They open up windows to the world and inspire us to explore and achieve and contribute to improving our quality of life. Libraries change lives for the better." Please support House Bill 2026 to amend 4 CMC subsection 8112 to prioritize net metering to include public libraries and for other purposes. Thank you, and Sizus Mahasi.
Thank you, Mrs. Naputi. Floor is still open for public comments.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker and members of the House of Representatives with the 23rd Commonwealth Legislature. I am Sonia Camacho, the Director of Courts for your Commonwealth Judiciary, and I appear on behalf of the Chief Justice and the Judiciary Leadership Team. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to come before you today. The first for our comment is item number 4 on page 2 of today's agenda for House Bill number 23-10, amending 8 CMC Section 1204. We show support for House Bill number 23-10, amending 8 CMC Section 1204 and its subsequent floor amendments, if any. However, the judiciary supports amendments to create a date-certain exemption to the requirement that a marriage certificate includes the places of residence. The Commonwealth Recorder's Office is statutorily empowered to maintain an index for marriage records of the Commonwealth. With the passage of Public Law 22-25, marriage certificates dating back to the Trust Territory era have been presented for recordation with the Commonwealth Recorder. Unfortunately, many of these documents did not include a place of residence at the time the certificate was filled out, even though it is a requirement under that section, thereby remaining grounds for a rejection upon request for recordation. This bill, if edited, will help alleviate this issue and will allow our Commonwealth Recorder to accept and record these documents. We also request and support the proposed floor amendments, deleting the text for clerks of court of and replacing Superior Court with Commonwealth Recorder's Office, as the index of marriage records is maintained by the Commonwealth Recorder's Office pursuant to the Commonwealth Recorders Act of 2020 and the Northern Mariana Islands Judiciary Rules of Electronic Recordation. The next item for our comment is under item number 9 on page 5, communication from the Judicial Branch. On the matter of Judicial Branch Communication 23-1, These rules are of great importance to some of the most vulnerable people in our society and are long overdue. This is for the draft rules of guardianship. The passage of these rules will provide litigants with the framework to seek guardianship for minors and individuals ineligible to make self-supportive decisions. Oftentimes, these individuals remain unheard, but upon passage, these rules will ensure that the proper procedures are in place to petition for guardianship and to ensure that these individuals' best interests are adequately represented. In 2022, there were 56 guardianship cases filed in the Superior Court, and in 2021, there were 42 guardian cases filed, thereby showing the pressing need for these rules. Under the same section on your agenda, on the matter of Judicial Branch Communication 23-2, the proposed rules of family dispute mediation. As of yesterday, February 2nd, the Supreme Court withdrew its proposed rules of family dispute mediation and anticipates it will resubmit the proposed rules in the near future. Thank you all once again for this honor and this opportunity, and most especially your time. Should you need additional information today or any other time during your deliberations, we are available to assist. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Camacho. Floor is still open for public comments. Seeing that there is no more under public comments, we now move down to item number 3, adoption of journals, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We just have one item under adoption of journals. First day, first regular session journal dated January 9, 2023.
Thank you, clerk. I now recognize the floor leader for the motion to adopt the journal. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of journals for the first day, first regular session journal dated January 9, 2023. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to adopt the journal, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Thank you, members. All in favor to adopt first day, first regular session journal dated January 9, 2023, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The journal is hereby adopted. Thank you, members. We now move down to item number 4. And just a little note before we move forward, there will be certain bills that will be moved to the calendar, and I will ask the floor leader, after all bills have been introduced, to make the proper motion. Okay? Thank you. I'd like to now recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. If there's no objection today, I'd like to place HB 23-1. Sorry. To amend House Bill 23-1 to amend 7 CMC 4101, Sections 4101 to lower the interest rate of civil money judgments from 9% to 3%. Floor, may I also ask the floor leader to amend the rule so that I can respectfully ask this body to place 23-1 on today's calendar.
Thank you, Representative Flores. This is noted, and as I mentioned earlier, we will introduce all bills and make the proper motion at a later time. Thank you. I now like to recognize Representative Roman Beneventi for the withdrawal of his House bill. Representative
Thank you, Mr.
Beneventi.
Speaker. I have House Bill number 22-2 to establish a transfer station with regards to Kangman and and Kohler with regard to Southern and Eastern Sector. I would like to Mr. Speaker, to recall this bill. There is a pre-existing law already with regards to the bill. Uh, the public law is 19 19-52, and bill was introduced in 1911. And Mr. Speaker, with that's in effect, I would like to ask the Speaker to recall this bill back. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Benavente. So noted. You still have the floor, Representative Benavente.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce House Bill 23-3 to impose a toll fee to be paid by passengers who are entering the MARPI area and for other purposes. This bill is actually, to charge tourists that are coming into the Oda tourist site. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Benavente. House Bill 23-3 will be referred to the Committee on Natural Resources. I now recognize Representative Ralph Umel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now introducing House Bill number 23-4 to establish a process for the delivery of the State of the Commonwealth Address to the legislature by the governor, pre-filed by myself, and I offer it to all members to please sign on to this bill, as this bill was passed overwhelmingly in the House in the last legislature. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Umel. I now recognize Representative Denita Yanktamay.
Thank you, Speaker. I am formally introducing House Bill number 23-5 to amend 2 CMC subsections 5631 and 5109 to authorize Gilnet, locally known as Techking, in the 3rd Senatorial District, and provide additional penalties for any violations. Pre-filed by myself, and I welcome anyone who wants to support or support this. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Yanktamay. House Bill 23-5 will also be referred to the Committee on Natural Resources. I now recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Officially introducing House Bill number 23-6 to amend 4 CMC subsection 8112 to prioritize net metering to include public libraries and for other purpose, introduced by myself and several others. And if I may continue, Mr. Speaker,
Proceed.
also officially introducing House Bill number 23-7 to amend 4 CMC subsection 1401D to increase revenue by properly taxing tobacco products, offered by myself and several others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan. House Bill 23-7 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. I now recognize again Representative Denita Yanktamay.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm introducing House Bill number 23-8 to require all contractors to be licensed in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, pre-filed by myself and anyone who wants to join in. May I continue, Speaker?
Please proceed.
I'm also introducing House Bill number 23-9 to require legislative appropriation for all non-locally sourced funds allocated for the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, pre-filed by myself, and I invite others to also join in. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Yanktamay. House Bill number 23-8 will be referred to the Committee on JGO, and House Bill 23-9 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means and JGO as well. Thank you. I now recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Officially introducing House Bill number 23-10 to amend 8 CMC subsection 1204 as amended by Public Law 22-25 to create an exemption to the requirement that a marriage certificate include the places of residence, introduced by myself and several others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan. I now recognize Representative Vicente Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am honored to introduce House Bill number 23-11 to amend Title I, Division 8 of the Commonwealth Code by establishing a veterans preference employment provision for the Sinamay government and for other purposes, pre-filed by myself, and I welcome others to sponsor. May I proceed?
Please proceed.
Also, House Bill number 23-12 to amend 1 CMC subsection 7831 to provide for direct legislative appropriation to the Office of the Public Auditor and for other purposes, pre-filed by myself, and I welcome others to sponsor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Vicente Camacho. House Bill 23-11 will be referred to your committee, sir, on FFA. And House Bill number 23-12 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. Thank you. I now recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I introduce 23-3, House Bill 23-13, to amend the Crimes and Criminal Procedure Code definitions of dangerous weapon and serious bodily injury. Introduced by myself, and I'm opening this bill to be supported by members of this body if they do see.
Thank you, Representative Marissa. Go ahead and proceed. You still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm also introducing House Bill 23-14 to amend the punishment for the crime of vandalism to include the option of confinement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Marissa Flores. House Bill number 23-13 will be referred to the Committee on JGO, and House Bill 23-14 as well will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Thank you, and I recognize Representative Vicente Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored once again to introduce House Bill 23-15 to amend Title VI of the Commonwealth Code by adding a new chapter to enact provisions associated with public corruption, other unlawful influence, and related offenses for public officials and for other purposes. This bill was passed in the 22nd legislature, made it to the Senate, but there was no time for the Senate to entertain it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. House Bill number 23-15 will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Any other bills to be introduced? I recognize Representative Manny Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce an unnumbered bill, a bill for an act to reduce startup costs for small businesses, introduced by myself and sponsored by several others.
Thank you, Representative Manny Castro. I'll assign that your bill at a later time. Thank you. Any more unnumbered bills? Recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Officially introducing an unnumbered bill, a bill for an act to provide clarity relative to the crime of promoting prison contraband, or otherwise known as the Contraband Reform Act of 2023, and for other purposes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul. These two bills will be referred at a later time. Any more House bills? Ready? Ready. I now recognize the floor leader for the suspension of rules to place certain bills on today's calendar for action. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer a motion to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, referral of bills and resolutions, to place House Bill number 23-1, House Bill number 23-4, House Bill number 23-6, and House Bill number 23-10 on today's bill calendar. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right. All in favor For the motion by the floor leader to suspend Rule 9, Section 8, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to House local bills, and I recognize Representative BJ Atta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Formally introducing House Local Bill number 23-1 to appropriate $800,000 from revenues collected for the Third Senatorial District pursuant to Public Law 20-59 and for other purposes, introduced by myself and several others, and open for any other member from the Third Senatorial District to co-sponsor the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Attal. And of course, based on our House rules, any local bill under that deals with appropriations on the local delegation level will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. I recognize Representative Patrick San Nicolas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is to officially introduce a House Local Bill 23-2 is to appropriate 68,000 from the revenues collected from poker fees in the Second Senatorial District and for other purposes. Brief by myself. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative San Nicolas. And likewise, House Local Bill 23-2 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. And I'll recognize Representative Julie Ogle.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to introduce House Local Bill 23-3 to appropriate up to $199,674.79 of the earned bond interest income collected for the First Senatorial District that has been identified by the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority as available for appropriations and for other purposes.
Thank you, Representative.
I have one more.
Oh.
Yes, additional one more. Yes.
Okay.
And also, I would like to introduce an amendment House Local Bill 23-4 to amend 10 CM subsection 14106 to amend the Rota resident identification card fee and for other purposes. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Julie Ogle. House Local Bill number 23-3 will be going to the Committee on Ways and Means. Thank you. Any other House Local Bills? Ready? And thank you, colleagues. We have nothing under House Legislative Initiatives. We'll now move down to item number 5, introduction of resolutions. And I recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Officially introducing House Resolution 23-2, respectfully requesting the Secretary of Department of Public Works to negotiate and certify the compensation or land exchange for the taking of a private property adjacent to the Susupi Social Hall and Basketball Court area in Susupi, Saipan, for public purposes. Introduced by myself and Rep. Manny and co-sponsored by several others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan.
Mr. Speaker, just point of clarification.
Yes,
There's no
recognize
objection from the
Representative.
author of the resolution. Would it be amendable that we introduce as a committee of the whole?
No objection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And thank you for that, Representative Atto and Representative John Paul Sablan. House Resolution 23-2 is now hereby introduced by the Committee of the Whole and will be placed on today's calendar for action. I now recognize Representative Julie Ogle.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to introduce House Resolution 23-3 to encourage the Honorable Governor Arnold I. Palacios and Honorable Lieutenant Governor David M. Apateng to officially adopt a general policy to prevent the employment of people from being used as a personal political tool by freezing the hiring of non-essential employees with or without number of positions provided in the budget enacted by the Sinamay Legislature 180 days leading up to an election. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Ogle. House Resolution 23-3 will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Thank you, colleagues. Any more House resolutions? Ready? Thank you. We have none under House Joint Resolutions, none under House Commemorative Resolutions, and none under House Concurrent Resolutions. We now move down to item number 6, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 6, messages from the governor, we have Governor's Communication 23-1, 23-2, and 23-3. Just a note, a clerical error on the House bill. It should read 22-79 HS1 SS1 instead of 23.
Thank you, clerk. So noted. Floor is open for discussions under governor's communications or messages from the governor. Ready? Okay, thank you, colleagues. We now move down to Senate communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 7, Senate Communications, we have 2 items, Senate Communication 23-1 and Senate Communication 23-2.
Thank you, clerk. I now like to recognize the floor leader for the motion to accept Senate communications. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House accept Senate Senate Communications 23-1 and Senate Communications 23-2 to become the property of the House. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to accept Senate communications, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right, members. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion hereby carries. Thank you, members. Any discussions under Senate communications? Ready? Okay, thank you, colleagues. We now move down to House communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 8, House Communications, we have House Communication 23-1 through 23-21.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under House communications? Ready? Thank you. We now move down to item number 9, communications from the judicial branch, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 9, communications from the judicial branch, we have Judicial Branch Communication 23-1, 23-2, and added on our agenda, Judicial Communication 23-3. 23-3 is in regards to the Chief Justice withdrawing the submission of the proposed NMI rules of family dispute mediation. I'm sorry.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under communications from the judicial branch? Ready? All right, so under Judicial Branch Communication 23-1, this will be referred to the Committee on JGO, and the deadline is March 25th. Chairwoman, thank you. And as mentioned by the clerk and the public comment earlier, Judicial Branch Communication 23-2 is hereby rescinded, as it reflects on Judicial Branch Communication 23-3, and it is my understanding that it'll be resubmitted at a later time. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 10. We have none. We now move down to item number 11, miscellaneous communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under miscellaneous communications, we have miscellaneous communication 23-1 through 23-8.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under miscellaneous communications? Ready? All right, thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 12, reports of standing committees. We have none. Item number 13, reports of special and conference committees. We have none. Item number 14, unfinished business. We have none. We'll move down to item number 15, resolution calendar. And I'd just like to call for a quick recess. Quick recess. Before we went on recess, we were under the resolution calendar, and I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Resolution 23-2, respectfully requesting the Secretary of the Department of Public Works to negotiate and certify the compensation or land exchange for the taking of a private property adjacent to the Susupi Social Hall and basketball court area in Susupe, Saipan for public purposes. So moved.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made to adopt House Resolution 23-2, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right. All in favor to adopt House Resolution 23-2, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 23-2 is hereby adopted. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 16, the bill calendar, and I recognize the floor leader.
Mr. Speaker, short recess, please.
Short recess. Before we recess, we were under bill calendar, so we will proceed from there. And I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before we move for passage on first and final reading on House Bill 23-1, rules, sorry. Before we move for passage on first and final reading on House Bill 23-1, Rule 7, Section 9, I'm sorry, I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, Committee Reports and Other Documents, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right. All in favor for the motion made by the floor leader to suspend pertinent rules, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now move for passage on first and final reading, House Bill 23-1, a bill for an act to amend 7 CMC 4101 to lower the interest rate of civil money judgments from 9% to 3%. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the passage of House Bill 23-1 on first and final reading, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? I now recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Vada,
Yes.
Representative Valdon,
Yes.
Representative Vattel,
Yes.
Representative Benavente,
Good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu,
Again.
Representative Vicente Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Castro,
Yes.
Representative Joseph Flores,
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Yes.
Representative Manglodia,
Yes.
Representative Vogel,
Hungan.
Representative Omar,
Yes.
Representative Probst,
Yes.
Representative Sablan,
Hungan.
Representative St. Nicholas,
Yes.
Representative Yangtamay,
Howard.
Representative Yumo, Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 19 members voting yes and 1 member is present.
Thank you, clerk. With 19 members voting yes and 1 present, House Bill number 23-1 hereby passes the House. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next on our calendar, we have House Bill number 23-4. Mr. Speaker, I move for passage on first and final reading for House Bill 23-4, and I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10 for the passage on first and final reading, and it has been seconded. Any discussions?
Ready.
Ready? Thank you, members. All in favor for the motion made by the floor leader, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now move for passage on first and final reading, House Bill 23-4, a bill for an act to establish a process for the delivery of a State of the Commonwealth address to the legislature by the governor. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the passage of House Bill number 23-4 and has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Thank you, members. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Vada, Representative Valdon,
Yes.
Representative Vattel,
Yes.
Representative Benavente,
Good.
Representative Angelo Representative Angelo Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu,
Again.
Representative Vicente Komatsu,
Yes.
Representative Castro,
Yes.
Representative Joseph Flores,
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores,
Yes.
Representative Manglodia,
Yes.
Representative Vogel,
Hungan.
Representative Omar,
Yes.
Representative Probst,
Yes.
Representative Sablan,
Hungan.
Representative Nicolas? Representative Liang Tamay?
Aware.
Representative Yumo? Mr. Speaker?
Hungan.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, House Bill number 23-4 hereby passes the House. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have now on our bill calendar, House Bill number 23-6. Mr. Speaker, I move for passage on first and final reading for House Bill 23-6. And I ask that we move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10. So moved.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made by the Floor Leader for the passage on first and final by making the motion to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right, thank you, members. All in favor for the motion made by the Floor Leader, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Motion hereby carries. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now move for passage on first and final reading, House Bill 23-6, a bill for an act to amend 4 CMC Section 8112 to prioritize net metering to include public libraries and for other purposes. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
A motion has been made by the Floor Leader for the passage of House Bill number 23-6, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Recognize Representative Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the author for introducing such a good bill. But we must also remember that there are other people, indigenous people, that are suffering too as well from paying the high cost of CUC or power, and we would like to offer maybe another member, maybe the chairman of PUTC to look into opening net metering to everyone so that we can have the island sustain by paying lower cost in powers by having everybody install a solar system or solar panels on their house. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Floor is still open for discussion. Ready? Ready? All right, Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Vada? Representative Aldan?
Yes.
Representative Fatal?
Yes.
Representative Benavente? Representative Angelo Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Diego Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Joel Camacho?
Hungan.
Representative Vicente Camacho?
Yes.
Representative Castro?
Yes.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Manglodia?
Yes.
Representative Vogel?
Ungan.
Representative Omar?
Yes.
Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Hungan.
Representative Nicolas?
Hungan.
Representative Yang Tamay?
Aware.
Representative Yumo?
Yes.
Representative Benavente? Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 19 members present voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 19 members present voting yes, House Bill number 23-6 hereby passes the House. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last on our bill calendar, we have House Bill number 23-10. Mr. Speaker, for passage on first and final reading on House Bill 23-10, I move to suspend Rule 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Section 9 and 10. So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made by the Floor Leader for first and final reading by suspension of Rules 7, Section 9, and Rule 9, Sections 9 and 10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions?
Ready.
Ready. Thank you. All in favor for the motion made by the Floor Leader, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion hereby carries. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now move for passage on first and final reading, House Bill 23-10, a bill for an act to amend 8 CMC Section 1204 as amended by Public Law 22-25 to create an exemption to the requirement that a marriage certificate include the places of residence. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader for passage on first and final reading of House Bill 23-10, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd like to offer a floor amendment. I believe every member has the floor amendment before you, and that is in page 3, lines 4, to delete the words clerk of courts off and replace them with the words Superior Court with Recorder's Office. Consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendment, I hereby also move to allow the legal counsel, together with the House Clerk, to make further non-substantive technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of this amendment. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan. A floor amendment has been offered by Representative John Paul Sablan, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All right, thank you, members. All in favor for the floor amendment offered by Representative John Paul Sablan, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The floor amendment is hereby adopted. We now move back to the main motion for the passage on first and final reading of now House Bill 23-10, HD1. Floor is open for discussions. Recognize Representative Yu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, just for us new members, we like to hear from the author as to why he's introducing this amendment. We understood the bill was passed in the last legislature. So please, Mr.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. I didn't know you were a new member, but okay. Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to our very good colleague, Representative Yumo from Election Precinct 3. As he mentioned, I did amended the law last legislature. That's why it's reflective on the title of the bill before us that we're about to vote. That is Public Law 22-25. The mere amendments that we're just trying to address here at hand is that there are still certain clienteles that were actually married on trust territory period, and a trust territory marriage certificate does not include the residential address. And part of the requirement, as Ms. Sonia Camacho alluded, that the recorder's office are mandated to receive marriage certificate that are inclusive of residential addresses. So these further amendments to Public Law 22-25 will amend and address those concerns so that these clienteles that have been trying to get their spouse's benefit, they can acquire and start filing this the trust territory marriage certificate to the recorder's office. Thank you. I hope that answers our very good, strong colleague from Precinct Election 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sablan. Representative Yumo.
I yield.
Okay, thank you, Representative Yumo. Floor is still open for discussions. Recognize Representative Attal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the good author for making the proper or the additional amendments to 22-25. And I surely hope that the legislative intent is understood by the settlement fund in regards to the marriage certificates, because they're well aware that a lot of these individuals haven't received their spousal benefits, surviving benefits from the retirement fund, hence the importance of this legislation and its subsequent amendment under 22-25. And I truly hope that these individuals will be able to get these benefits retroactively as well. A lot of these individuals are our elders, and most of the retirement benefits that their spouses were receiving were the minimal benefits, and 50% of the minimal benefits, roughly between $6,000 to $8,000. I hope that they will be considered to be retroactively paid to the date of the death of the retirement beneficiary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to place that on the record, and I hope that the legislative intent is followed through by the settlement fund. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Attal. Floor is still open for discussions. Ready? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fada? Representative Valdan?
Yes.
Representative Attal?
Yes.
Representative Benavente?
None.
Representative Angelo Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Okay.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Castro?
Yes.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Manglonia?
Yes.
Representative Vogel?
Hungan.
Representative Omar?
Yes.
Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Hungan.
Representative Siniclas? Representative Yangtamay?
Aware.
Representative Yumo? Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members present voting yes, House Bill 23-10, House Draft 1 hereby passes the House. Thank you, colleagues, and that takes care of our bill
Mr.
calendar.
Speaker,
I
before we
recognize Representative
privilege,
Attal.
please. I know that Representative Benavente was absent during the voting on House Bill 23-6. He's present with us today. Would it be okay if we can recognize him for his vote on 23-6?
Thank you, Representative Attal. Members, no objection? Clerk, back to House Bill number 23-6 so that Representative Benavente can register his vote.
Representative Benavente?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. And just to clarify for the record, with all 20 members present voting yes, House Bill 23-6 hereby passes the House. Thank you, colleagues. And again, that takes care of our bill calendar. We now move down to item number 17, miscellaneous business. Floor is open. Ready? All right, we'll now move down to item number 18, announcements. Floor is open. Committees, if you have meetings coming up this coming week, please make that announcement. Recognize Representative Yu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe after we introduce House local bills, I did schedule a meeting for this Tuesday at 3 p.m., February 7 for the Ways and Means.
Thank you. Floor leader.
I just want to make an announcement that the mayor's office has dogs that are ready to find a home. To my colleagues, to everyone listening out there, if you are interested in adopting a dog and rescuing these beautiful dogs, they have been given their shots and they are just ready to find a home. There's several dogs just waiting. I hope that our members of our public colleagues make your kids happy. Adopt a dog. Go see the mayor's shelter, and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, floor leader. Recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Just so that the Committee on JGO knows, we will be meeting in regard to judicial branch communications 23 dash, I believe it was 1 on the guardianship, so that we can meet the deadline and offer our comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Marissa Flores. Recognize Representative Omar.
Yes, so for the Committee of Health and Welfare, we'll have our organizational session next week, Thursday, February 9th. Okay, so the memo will be forthcoming, but I just signed it earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Omar. Floor is still open for announcement. Recognize Representative Vincent Aldan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to make sure that we clarify the meeting that was scheduled incorrectly for it was for the 9th of next week to actually the 8th, with NMHC, and the discussion on that would be trying to find funding for CUC. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Vincent Aldan. I recognize Representative Manny Castro.
Just to inform the members, Mr. Speaker, that the Standing Committee on Education will be having an organizational meeting February 7 at 1:30 here at the House Chamber.
Thank you, Representative Manny Castro. Floor is still open for announcements. The rules? You wanna- Okay, floor leader, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Subject to the call of the chair, I move for adjournment.
Hold on there, floor leader. We're still under announcements.
Oh, sorry.
So- Okay, sorry for that confusion there. Because of that, I'm just gonna recognize the vice speaker.
I just want to inform the members that the Ad hoc Rules Committee has scheduled a committee meeting next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. To any members that are interested. And I know that some of the committees have some changes that they have made to their respective committees. So please submit that beforehand. Yeah, the meeting's next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor is still open for announcements. Ready? Okay, we now move down to adjournment. Floor leader.
Custody, subject to the call of the chair, I move for adjournment.
Okay, a motion has been made by the floor leader for adjournment, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? All right, ready? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, stay. Say nay. The ayes have it. The session's hereby adjourned. Thank you, colleagues.